she's not hype at all. She's upset.
Free speech. I bet I know what it's about. But anyway, welcome to Coffee with the Port St. Lucie Mayor. I'm Teresa Aronson from the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce. Please welcome my co-host, the one, the only mayor of the beautiful city of Port St. Lucie, Mr. Gregory Oravec.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Welcome. It looks like we're going to have a great show today, a big show, possibly.
Hopefully, yes. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yes.
We don't want to let them down.
No, we got a great audience today, a big audience on a blistery day in South Florida, which may or may not be hurricane season.
Blistery, is that when it blows so hard that it causes you to blister?
I think it is maybe the origin of blistery, but from my Buffalo days, I remember that word. That was a big word in Buffalo.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like blustery, but with blisters.
Blustery? All right, we'll figure it out. We'll Google it.
Yeah, well, I don't think we need to, but okay.
It's starting well, isn't it? All right.
Aren't you glad I'm back?
I am glad you're back. Well, you've been not with me for the last couple of shows, which has been odd. You know, you develop a rapport and then you throw different co-hosts in. It gets.
I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to be back.
I'm glad you're back.
The chamber was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors and then also at a Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
Yeah.
Big seminar.
Well, Vice Mayor Martin pitched in for you, and then we had Representative Toby Overdorf did a little bit with us, and then I just improvised on one, so.
All right, so like usual, except with different people.
Yes, with different people. Improvise with different people. So
who's your guest today?
We're, of course, going to have Mid-Florida, which is our sponsor this entire year. They've partnered with us for the entire year, and we're so thankful for that, because that allows us to be able to bring programming like this to the masses. And
proposing to partner with the city on the naming of the Civic Center.
Yes, I know. We're excited about it.
Yeah.
Do we have a name? Can we announce anything? Do we know what we're going to call it?
That hasn't come back to us quite yet.
Oh, it hasn't? I'm imagining it's going to have Mid-Florida in it. That's what I just keep telling people.
I think you can.
Somewhere it'll say Mid-Florida. Yes, but that's exciting news.
It is. It's great. They've really made a large splash into our market. They made a big commitment with the chamber, with the city, with all of our community institutions.
A lot of them. I mean, they really have dug in, and they've put up quite a few retail outlets. So we're excited that they're here. Very thankful from a shoebox in Lakeland to many, many spots now.
That's right.
All right. Good.
Started with teachers. That's one of the things I like about them. So we'll bring the guest up.
Yep. And then we'll come back and you and I will dive in. We'll start taking questions and we'll do the usual and try to make everybody happy in the room.
Oh, that sounds like a great plan.
Okay.
Yes, all right, so we'll be back in 2 and 2?
Yeah, sure.
All right, excellent.
All right. Thank you. Welcome back to Coffee with the Port St. Lucie Mayor. I'm Teresa Aronson from the St. Lucie County Chamber of Commerce, and we're here with our sponsor, our partner in this endeavor all year, and that is, of course, Mid-Florida Credit Union, who have just come into the city and really dug in and become a part of the fabric of the community. So please welcome Malin Joseph. She is an operations manager. What branch are you at, Malin?
I am on the US 1 branch.
The US 1 branch, yes. The first branch they had here.
The original branch.
That they had.
Yes.
Okay, that one is, he always does that. You knew he was going to do that.
I know.
That one is technically in the county unincorporated.
I know.
But you put two others in
exactly.
and built them from the ground up. So
yes,
that's tax roll money there, two
yes.
versus one.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So tell us a little bit. We talked about Mid-Florida starting from a shoebox for teachers in Lakeland. And now, where are you guys at today?
Yes, we are the furthest south of here, but however, we are working on stamping ground in Stewart. So we're not stopping yet. We're constantly moving. A growing company. Like Teresa said, we derive from Teachers Credit Union, 1954 till now. We've grown tremendously.
Yeah.
66 branches and going. So there's more to come. There's absolutely a lot going on. We are community driven, as you can tell. We are very much about the community. Whatever we can do to get involved, to participate, we are there to make sure that our members are counted for us and realize that we are here for them.
And we appreciate that because nowadays there's so many large banks and they have so many hurdles to get through to be involved as much as you are in the community. And not that they're not, but you guys really got in there. You're naming, possibly naming the Civic Center.
Yes, that is something that is soon to come more detail, even to myself. But we're excited about that too because we participate in events there year in, depending on what's going on. But now to have the name out there even more, it's awesome. It's
and you
amazing.
present our Business and Industry Awards every year, which is the largest gathering of business owners, operators, and employees. We have about 350 to 400 people come out, and we celebrate the best of the best, and you guys are our primary sponsor there. You bring the community Coffee with the Mayor.
Yes.
And you're part of Young Floridian. I mean, it just goes on and on.
You name it. Somewhere along the way, you're going to find Mid-Florida. Yes, whether it's in the school, the Education Foundation, or whether it's in your community, just basic stuff. I personally is a member of Rotary, so you'll see us.
Which Rotary? Because they're very territorial.
Port St. Lucie.
Okay. There's a couple. She don't want to say. It's still not very specific, but I'll allow it. Okay.
It's not the Sunset.
Oh, it's not. See, you already got one. It's not ours.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Yes.
Rotary's a great organization.
It is. Giving back to the community.
What do you guys got going on at the credit union now? You got any special rates going on?
Right now, there's quite a few things going on. Marketing always seems to keep us on our toes. So even the things that we don't see in the branch day to day, they have something floating out there. So I'll have members come in from time to time. So CD rates is a big thing right now that's going on. Anywhere from 2% to 3%. There's a lot of things going on. So just check us out. Home equity is another thing that's going on. No closing costs for our members. So a lot of things going on. Check us up online. We don't hide anything. It's right there. You can see, and then you can just give us a call and walk into one of our branches.
Yeah, call Maylin.
Yes, call Maylin.
And tell them how to do that. Before we go, tell them how to call you.
Our direct number is 772-236-5089.
All right, you got it. And for anything, any kind of loan, any kind of car loans,
anything.
CDs,
anything. We are just because a lot of individuals think when you say credit union, that means, something different. We are a full service credit union.
Yeah, they think small loans.
Yes, anything you can think of, we can provide it for you as a member.
Perfect.
Yes,
thank you for being with us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Being our sponsor. And we appreciate everything.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
can't wait to find out what the name is of the Civic Center.
Me too. Mid-Florida will be somewhere.
It'll be in it somewhere. All right. We'll be right back, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Coffee with the Port St. Lucie Mayor. I'm here with, of course,
Greg Orbeck.
the mayor. And that's what the show is all about. And we're going to dive right in. We're going.
So there was a little laughter in the break. We were talking about hip hop, and maybe people thought that I didn't like hip hop. And one of the things that I was off doing while you had one of these shows without me was attending the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And I actually was the sponsor of a resolution recognizing the importance of hip hop to the cities of the United States of America.
Oh, very nice.
So truly, I like all music except country. So true, I know it's like America's music. I'm direct to a fault. I don't really care for the country. There's like one Garth Brooks song.
You have just alienated a whole voting base.
That's the way it goes. And Councilwoman Morgan, who loves country and is in Okeechobee right now, so those go together like peanut butter and jelly. She introduced me.
Luckily, Okeechobee can't vote.
Oh, she.
Nashville.
Oh,
she went to the Mecca of country.
Yeah, she went more country. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like when Okeechobee's not country enough, where can we go? Oh, we'll go to Nashville. Yeah.
I love country. I married a country guy, so I learned to love country.
I love all people, so that's fine.
if you listen long enough,
can appreciate the
you'll
differences.
appreciate it all.
But I have one song. I do have one song. I'll have to see if
It's country. Please don't play that Billy Ray Cyrus, Lil Nas song.
No. That's not really country. But I do have that one. But Councilwoman Morgan introduced me to one.
She did?
She did. But it's more like country rap is what it is.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'll play it for you
Later. Or send it to me. Sometimes we send each other.
So we're on a musical theme facts are very important to me, so I fact-check myself on the break because I conflated, I mixed two names in my head. This last week I was reading about Mary Wilson, who's a former member of the Supremes, and Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald was the singer who was featured in the Maxwell tape commercials. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, back when they had cassettes. Like, you probably started out with 8-track.
Cassettes.
But then after 8-track, they had cassettes. And in order to...
What's a cassette?
You're just MP3 and up, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, they had these tapes after 8-track. They had these cassette tapes, and Maxwell would promote the fidelity of their technology by showing that even the reproduction of Ella Fitzgerald's voice was capable of breaking a glass. And so that was Ella, the Queen of Song, and
Queen of Soul.
No,
it
was Queen. Well, I mean, according to the source, it is Queen of Song.
Squeak. Okay.
But she had many other names. Maybe that's one of them.
Was Aretha, I believe.
And then Mary Wilson was a Supreme, I guess, who is now on Dancing with the Stars.
Sarah, do you have to fact check any of this before you air it? Because you're in a lot of trouble here. Okay, good.
No, that is all good, and facts are important.
Yeah.
And I started my day at about 6 o'clock this morning because someone had texted me the headline of St. Lucie Voice. And it had said that the tax rate in the city, for the city tax rate had gone up 2.2%. And everyone's tax season, and none of us love taxes. Many of us understand them. But every year we get a trim notice, a truth and millage notice in the mail, and we open it up. And if the bottom line is more, some of us get upset. Mm-hmm. And then some of us who get upset contact the city and let us hear about it. And it's confusing even without factually inaccurate headlines. So this time of year, I always like to bring everyone through the trim notice.
And we actually have been doing that, I mean, the past few shows, but continually we still have the same issue, so we have to keep going at it. We have to keep chipping away at it.
Yeah, if everyone in this room could just be experts on it and then share it with their neighbors, that would go a long way.
I feel like that there's millions of people watching this show, but apparently not.
Most of them are probably just in Martin County. They don't have good TV content, so they,
Because I felt like, we've done this. We should be good, but we're not.
We're not. Believe me, I can tell you from Monday night's council meeting.
I saw a little bit of Monday night's
We're not
council
there,
meeting,
and whoever the headline writer is, they're not there.
Which is so disheartening when they get it wrong in the news, and I have to say that happens quite a bit.
Well, I mean,
I'm not going to say St. Lucie Voice, but I mean in the news in general.
In general. And I will confess that it is disheartening.
It is.
Because the council's working really hard to meet all these competing priorities. And this year, we kind of backed into setting the millage rate so that the average homesteaded property owner in Port St. Lucie would see their city taxes go down. So for the last 3 years in a row, we've lowered the rate. But because values are going up, we could lower the rate and you'd still see a couple dollar increase in your tax bill or maybe, $20 increase. This year we said, no, we don't want the average homesteaded property owner's city taxes to go up at all. Let's lower the millage rate enough so that can happen. And that's what we did. And that's what you're gonna see in your average tax bill. And I had Teresa's bill up, but she said, Greg, you used me last time.
No, I said you can use me.
I'm just teasing.
I know.
So Tanya, my wife's gonna love this. This is our tax bill. And it's all public record. And but you make a great point. So sometimes people just show up to my door. It actually happened 3 times in 1 week last month. And although I love you and I'm here for you, it's kind of off-putting to the wife and kids. So
I would have to draw a line there.
Yeah, please don't stop by unannounced.
No. But yeah, it is public record. Everybody's address is public record unless you're redacted for police officers are redacted. And firefighters.
Public safety.
Public safety. But the rest of us are...
fair game, as they say.
Yeah. Yep. You can look up our tax bills, too. You can see how much our house is worth and...
I actually have a long-standing critic in the community that's for years has been taking photos of me and my children and my wife. And he puts, anytime my lawn gets too long, he puts me on Facebook or a website.
I must not have him as a friend because I've never seen that.
You don't want it. You don't want it, believe me. Don't say it 3 times in a row. He'll appear like Rumpelstiltskin.
Or Beetlejuice.
Yeah, exactly. So here's my trim notice, Tanya and my trim notice. And let's just talk about the left-hand column, taxing authorities. Those are the institutions who have the ability under law to levy taxes against your property. All right, and I don't know if you can see that on the screens. We got screens out to the side too. I'll try to zoom in as much as I can. You have column 1, which is the kind of the current year that we're ending. Column 2 is something that the Florida legislature made sure was in there. That's called the rollback. If the governmental institutions would collect the exact same amount of taxes with the new growth and everything else that's happening, what could the tax rate roll back to? Of course, the problem with rollback is the government would be collecting the exact same amount of money. So how many of you can control your household costs to the dollar every year? Your cable bill doesn't go up, your phone bill doesn't go up, your health care cost doesn't go up, the cost of groceries and gas doesn't go up, all the things that you spend money on don't go up. How often does that happen to you? And I can tell you it never happens to the city, never. So that's really nice to look at, but I don't think anyone's going on rollback in our area in St. Lucie County, and I can't remember the last time someone did. Column 3 is the proposed rate, and basically tax amount is a product of tax rate times your assessed value, right? They take assessed value, they back out exemptions, and you have your taxable value. They take taxable value, multiply it by the tax rate, and those are the taxes that are charged. So this first big column is general county, and all of those line items, St. Lucie County General Fund, jail, law enforcement, erosion, mosquito control, county parks, county transit, those are all levied by St. Lucie County Board of County Commissioners, not the City of Port St. Lucie. Public schools, that's your duly elected school board. There's an amount levied by state law and then by the local board. And a big difference in this year's tax bill, if you remember, is the school board proposed a referendum. The voters approved it to increase school taxes 1 mil. So 1 mil is a big deal. Municipality, city, Port St. Lucie. There's one line item that your city council and I control. If you're upset with that one, totally under our jurisdiction, let us hear it. Water Management District. And they have South Florida Water Management District, South Florida Water Management District, Okeechobee Basin, and then the Everglades Project. Water Management District is an appointed board where the members are appointed by the governor. Independent district, St. Lucie County Fire District. So in St. Lucie County, you have an independent fire district that provides fire service. Their board is appointed. There's one governor appointee, and then there's 2 members from each city. So Fort Pierce gets 2 members, PSL gets 2 members, and the county gets 2 members.
We have one fire district for the whole county. Nobody has a city fire district. That's why we have nobody has a city fire department.
Florida Inland Navigation District, they do things to keep the waterways navigable. And I have to check to see, honestly, I have to double check and fact check myself. Are they appointed? Tricia, do you know? Fine.
Inland navigation?
They're appointed.
Oh.
I thought they were appointed, but that's one that I haven't read about. I'll have to check that out. Children's Services Council. There's the executive head right there in the audience.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Sean.
I know. Tread lightly.
And you have an appointed legislative body, do you not?
He does. Governor appointed, yep.
Sean, although I try to influence you all the time, does the city of Port St. Lucie have the authority to direct the Children's Services Council? No. If he wasn't on film right now, he'd say, heck no. And then here we come to the other city line item, PSL voted debt. All right, and what is PSL voted debt for? Any ideas?
Crosstown.
Crosstown.
Yeah.
So that's what pays for the Crosstown Bridge. And the people of Port St. Lucie in an election back in the day voted by an 89% margin to approve that debt. So that debt is specifically and only for the repayment of the Crosstown Bridge. So in all those property taxes, What are the only two line items under the control of the city of Port St. Lucie?
Municipality and Crosstown.
That's it. So there's two. Out of all of those line items and all of those dollars, only two are under control of your mayor and city council.
And what'd you guys do with them?
We lowered them.
You did?
And so an easy way to see where you're at is just go and look at the before and after. So on the Port St. Lucie line item, that's the general fund that pays for your police department and parks and rec and all that good stuff. I paid $310.19 this year, and it's gonna go up. What? $9? $319.26 proposed for the next fiscal year. And you can see, even though the rate went down, that means my assessed value and taxable value went up enough that even with the rate decrease, I'm still gonna pay roughly $9.07
And
more.
let's dive into that. If you're homesteaded in Florida, your rate can go up 3% every year. Only 3%, no more than 3%. If the value of your home has gone up 10%, you only go up 3% in your assessed value. So most of us take a 3% value increase, lately, year after year. During the recession, it went down, but we're on the upswing.
And you probably actually did better than that because it's 3% or CPI, the Consumer Price Index, what we basically use to gauge inflation, whichever is less. And this year it was 1.6%. So you should have only gone up 1.6% on that assessment, on your taxable value at least. And then also, I believe that commercial property is capped at 10. And then you have the PSL voted debt. That's the other one under our control. So we were at 74.44 this year, and now we're at 64.38. So it went down. So I'm going to go hurry up and do this computation. Would you mind singing or otherwise entertaining the audience?
I don't think you really want either, but I think we can quickly do the math. I'm going to bet $1. Anybody else want to?
Well, I don't want to let you down, that's for sure.
Okay.
So my taxes
Gotten out his abacus.
went down $1.01 in the city of Port St. Lucie. So is that a lot? No, but is it great every time that we can hold the line on taxes, given that healthcare and all our other expenses go up and that we're trying to increase services? For example, this year we started adding a whole new police district. Remember, we're the safest large city in Florida. That's something that we want to protect. And that's something we always want to be. That's part of who we are. And we recognize all the growth out in tradition, so we're ramping up so that we can establish an entirely new district to serve that new area of the city. And we added over 11 police officers this year. Police officers are expensive. If you just wanted in round numbers, it's $100,000 per officer. So, those things quickly add up.
Now, quickly do mine, because let's see if it's true for most people.
Let's see, do I have you up here? Oh, yeah, I'll try to keep the address up there. Let's
Don't
zoom
come
in.
over. I'm so not even nice if you just show up.
I wanted to.
I look nice
was hoping
here,
to
but just
see.
show up on a Sunday, see how it goes.
Oh, man, why are my taxes more than yours? I gotta talk to the legislative body.
Well, my board chair's here. He knows that I'm very, very cheap. I may have bought my house at auction and fixed it up.
That just means you're really smart and frugal and hardworking. Congratulations.
I'm very frugal. We don't live large at the Aronson family.
There's another column on here that I'll point out on your bill that I really like. So all the way to the right, there's a public hearing on the proposed taxes and budgets will be held. And the reason why people come to the city, and I'm glad they do, is because we're the government closest to the people. So we're usually the ones that you talk to first, and that's great. And it plays out in a number of ways. And it's really why there's greater trust between the people and their local government than their state and federal governments. That plays out all the time. We see that in every poll, that there's a better relationship between the people and their local governments. We spend time together. You can ask specific questions. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when an issue gets especially emotional or personal, there can be disbelief or there's a question. Here's what I like to look at on who controls it. Notice all the different addresses and phone numbers in the right-hand column. There's only two that will point you to the city of Port St. Lucie. That is a clue that only those two are under the control of the mayor and city council, right? All right, so let's see what, I'm gonna tell you just by looking at it, given that our values are so similar, it's gonna be really close because this is just math. So you were at 292.28.
Yeah.
So you invested $292.28 into the city of Port St. Lucie.
I got every penny worth.
I like to think that you did.
I did. Got a
You're
new
at
park in my neighborhood.
30111.
Yep.
Oh, is Woodland Trails in your neighborhood?
Yes, I just gave it away. Everybody knows where I live.
They already did. They saw the address. They wrote it down too. I saw that gentleman right there with the
You're
glasses. He was scribbling furiously.
Yeah.
Always pause the video later.
Yes. I have a vicious dog. It's about this big.
I'll send Kathy over with an email.
There you go.
So, given that your value is so value-oriented, so actually the less value in your house, the smaller your tax break in the city this year. So actually, if your house was worth more, you got more of a break. So it looks like you are at, what is that? That is, looks like basically 59 cents.
I got a 59 cents tax break.
Yeah.
Gum on me, everybody. Actually, a coffee cake. When you were gone, I told everybody how great the coffee cake is, and during a break, they all ran out there in mass exodus to get the coffee cake. I later found out we didn't have coffee cake that day. We only had Danish, but there is actually coffee cake today for any of you that were here last time and got the Danish thinking it was the coffee cake I was raving about.
Yeah, so you got 59 cents, I got $1.01.
Okay.
What can we pool together? Well, we couldn't because unfortunately for both of us, the entire tax bill went up. And I guess that's the issue, is that people look at the bottom line and they don't think about all the line items and where they need to apply their energy. Because I've been talking about it for years. We actually track millage, the tax rate. That's one of the things that we like to benchmark and measure ourselves, because we want to provide you with the most services for the least amount of money. That's one of our goals that's built into the strategic plan. And in order to do that right, we have to know where our competitors are, where those other beautiful cities in Florida are and what they're doing. So over the last 3-4 years, we've gone from the median to now better than median. And I'm hoping this year, with the drop of almost $0.25 mil, we're going to get into that kind of top 4 in our comparables range. But we'll find that out in the next couple of weeks. But as a whole, as an aggregate, it is correct, sadly, that we have, as a county, one of the highest millage rates in the state. Mm-hmm. And so I agree with you that that needs to change, but the only way it will change is if enough people apply their energy and aim at the right target. The city of Port St. Lucie can only control those 2 line items that we talked about today.
And there was a reduction in that millage rate.
Correct. Not all the other ones. So we really need to, for the people who are upset, I hate to see you be upset and have it just be wasted. You know, getting up here at Public to be Heard, we're happy to hear you, but it's not going to help until you apply the energy at the right target. Who wants to waste their time or care a lot and achieve nothing? That's difficult. So let's carry that message and make sure that we're all asking for the right thing.
All right.
All right.
Are you ready to dive into questions? Because I already
Sure.
see hands. Mark, I'm going to ask you to come on up. Right here. No. There you go. Okay.
Morning, I've been away, Mayor. Good to see you.
You have. This place, I don't know, it got crazy without you, Henry.
I know.
Well, one of the things that most people are upset is, they compare, my taxes are so much higher than his, and I'm next to him, his is lower, mine's higher, okay? And my understanding is that, the assessment thing is only 3%.
Or CPI, which is up, whichever
Right.
is less.
And there's an accumulated value, from what I understand, for those who own the property long versus those who just bought it. Is that correct?
Yeah, so you're getting into something really important, and you're right. People do get upset about it, and it's understandable why, because it seems inherently unfair to some of us. So in the state of Florida, the Florida legislature, they set the rules on property taxation, right? And between the legislature and different votes by the people, they've carved out exemptions from assessments. So the property appraiser by law is supposed to start with the market value, right? And then they back out all these exemptions. Homestead exemption 1, homestead exemption 2, some places senior exemption, widow exemption, military exemption, blind exemption, disabled exemption. All of these exemptions get backed out. You get your taxable value, you multiply that. But what happens additionally is there's something called portability. And so if you've already enjoyed a homestead exemption in Florida, like you were in Boca or you were in Palm Beach Gardens, you said, hey, I'm out. I'm going up to the Pizzle. I'm going to get way more house, and I'm going to have a better lifestyle. And Florida still has Florida. It's the safest community. Its traffic is nothing like it is down south. All the roads are beautiful. The mayor's bald. I like that in the mayor. You come up here, you get to bring some of your exemption with you, and you get to apply it to your house. Now, the poor snowbird right next to you, who's a really cool guy and gal, and you guys play cards and have picnics all winter long, go to river nights on the river, have a good time, go to the Civic Center for a Festival of Lights, you party it up. They're paying maybe double what you're paying because they can't get any of those exemptions by Florida law.
I have a follow-up on that. And in state of New Hampshire, where I came from, okay, they had a mechanism where every 10 years, for instance, there was like a deadline saying everybody's going to get equalized. Okay, so you had a window, but it was not forever. Is there such a mechanism in this state or not?
No.
No. So, okay.
But he brings up a good point, because what happens is if Henry's lived in his house for 20 years and his value's only gone up CPI or 3%, his value is going to, his assessed value will stay relatively low. But somebody that just bought their house, yesterday for twice what you paid for it, their taxes are going to be up here. You get a break for longevity here in Florida. So that's the other thing as well, because your value's not going up. Some people in the community, their assessed value is less than a third, of their actual market value, because they've been there so long, it can only go up so much. And then their neighbors move in and they're paying 3 and 4 times as much in taxes, but they just moved here.
Yeah, you guys are bringing up another gotcha or whammy, whichever, your preferred word is for it. But whereas I'm hopeful that we can educate and talk about our trim notice and understand who's responsible for which line items, I'm not sure that we could make a dent on this one, because it really impacts first-time home buyers and people who are new to Florida. And that is, I looked at your tax bill, Henry, when you were selling your house and I wanted to buy it, and I thought I was going to be paying the same in escrow as you were. And oh my goodness, mine are now twice as much as yours were, and I can no longer afford the house. Sadly, that happens.
All the time. And realtors, your realtor should, and I know there are realtors out there. I see a few in the audience.
I see a big one, Jeff.
I do, and Sherry Propus is a realtor now too, but they will they'll let you know that. They need to be able to let you know that. And when you close, you'll see that as well. So, well, it is a gotcha moment. You got to make sure you're dealing with all the right people so you're educated. Okay, we have more questions right up here, Mark. Mark, come back up and.
It's not about taxes, though.
Oh, it's not about taxes?
No, not about taxes.
Okay, any other tax questions before we move on? Jeff's got one.
Not that I understand it.
Morning, Mayor. Morning, Teresa.
Good morning, Jeff.
Okay. My question regarding the PSL voted debt. Once the Crosstown Parkway is completed, which excitingly so, it's coming pretty soon, is that going to go away?
So thank you for the question, and it's important to remember that PSL voted debt is for Crosstown. At Monday night's council meeting, we actually thought that we had some newer people in the audience that thought it was for general debt. It's not, just for Crosstown. And it won't go away when the Crosstown Bridge is opened on September the 28th at 4 p.m., but it will go away once the bridge is paid for. So what's going to happen now that project is nearing completion and we know what the actual construction costs are, we will actually see probably a rollback rate or close to it. So every year, that millage for the crosstown will change in order to make the debt service payment. And then when the bridge is paid off in another 20 years, it'll be gone. Now, it's probably not going to go up. Unless we somehow made an error, that won't go up. What's happening is we've seen values drop before in the Great Depression, right? So we know that values can drop. But every year the values go up, that number's definitely going down. And we're not bringing it down to bare bones where we would be subject to having to increase it the next year. We're creating a little cushion in there so that even if we hit a bad year, because I hate to tell you this, you know already.
I do know.
We got
Don't say it.
we're overdue for a recession, everybody. So if you are in a cyclical industry, Jeff, put some money away, because I don't want to see anything bad happen to you during the recession. But we're overdue now for a recession. You're starting to hear rumblings. People are talking about it more. It's going to happen. I hope it's an early 90s recession for PSL, not a Great Depression, mid-2000s for PSL. I don't suspect that we'll have another generational recession like we did.
It'll be mild, hopefully.
But it's coming. So we're seeing that in there. We don't want that millage to ever go up. It should only march down until it's paid off. And I will get that number for you on when it'll completely disappear.
A good question. A question on trim notices?
Well, since you're discussing the Crosstown Parkway, my question is in regards to who was responsible for the decision to change Floresta from a through road to a right turn only at the Crosstown Parkway?
So the Super Street, as some call it, I call it things that aren't as nice as Super Street. I call it, the nice way is not so Super Street. So ultimately, the staff recommended a change. This happened in 2014, early 2015. One of my biggest disappointments. Staff of the time, no longer here, tucked in a new design inside of a 900-page document. Council approved it, brought it back later when it became apparent what was going on, and the council at the time voted against changing it back to a normal intersection. So I lost that vote, and I'm not allowed by rule to bring it back. At this point, we're stuck with what's being constructed. And what I'd say is that after it opens, give it 6 months, because you got to wait for it to play out. And if it ends up being problematic, it doesn't work as the engineer said, that's when the people of Port St. Lucie can come together and lobby the council to change it. So I'm opposed to it, but I will tell you that they are in North Carolina, Michigan, and Texas, okay? And I will tell you that based on the models, it makes Crosstown more efficient, and it comes at a couple-second delay to north-south Floresta. Even though I'm against it, I think that the slight delay to the north-south Floresta is actually a silver lining for the people of Floresta who might not want their road to be a north-south connector. And it can be more of a neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a lot of residential there. So I'm hoping that people are going to be open-minded, but I don't know either, because I'm not familiar with this type of this design.
Well, and then the other thing that happens is that at intersections, traditionally, the left-hand turn movement is the one that kills people. All right, left-hand turn movement's where the conflict's at.
Always.
That takes away that left turn movement. So the studies I've read do show that those intersections are safer than a traditional intersection. So even though I'm against this typology and this intersection, and I was really ticked at the time, back in 14, 15, that a major decision like this was tucked into a 900-page document without a public presentation, I have to recognize what happened. And then also in my research, I found that North Carolina and Michigan like them, and in Texas, they ripped it out. So
Always differing opinions.
So we'll see what happens.
Any traffic lights on there?
There will be traffic lights on Crosstown so that people who are going through it's really an extended oval about is what the super street ends up being, so that the people can make a U-turn.
And yeah.
On Floresta, you will have the existing stoplights, and then you will have roundabouts.
Okay, now we'll go to her, and then we'll go to Derek.
Well, I'm got a whole different problem going on. Water situation.
Water
Drainage.
And
Oh,
drainage.
drainage.
You're ruining my property.
What's that?
You're ruining my property.
I am personally
The
ruining
city.
your property?
The city.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Did I drive across it? Yeah, we'll get your, afterwards, we'll get your information and we'll see what
And
we can
we'll-
do.
yeah, I mean, this has been going on a year.
Drainage in your area.
You know, I mean, now it's, you guys changed the law where you can only make a complaint about an empty lot once a year for overgrown and whatever, which I think is really wrong. It shouldn't be once a year. People don't take care of their lots. They let them overgrow, and then it goes on to somebody else's property. And why should the other person have the burden of cleaning up somebody's property and their empty lot? And they should have swells put in, because that's where your drainage problem is coming in.
Okay, we're gonna
On
get your,
empty lots.
Yeah.
Your particulars.
I have pictures for you, so you
Okay.
Wait, you skipped Derek.
Good morning, everyone. Since we're on the street lights, is there any way, please, Mayor, on Darwin and Parr, that's a busy intersection, and they have stop signs there. Now, you have school buses across the area, a lot of citizens go in the area. Is there any way we can get a street light on that corner, Darwin and Parr? Yes, sir. Also, the second thing is, on the turnpike, when you're coming south on the turnpike and you're exiting at Becker Road, they have a sign on the top of the light, very small, saying you cannot make a right turn on the red light. You can see that sign in the daytime, but for a person that does not live in the area and strangers to the area, they're going to have a serious accident there, because I've seen them make the right turn off the turnpike on Becker Road, because that sign is very, very small. To me, it needs to be larger, so the citizens could see that sign and know they cannot make a right turn on a red light off of the turnpike on Becker Road going south.
And there's a reason for that. They're coming over the bridge. You can't really see them. You can only see them for 100 feet.
Magic 8 Ball says likely to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll be able to help you with that. Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, both of those, and I know exactly, because that's my neck of the woods. I know exactly what you're talking about. They're both very
So you
big.
got a high-powered chamber head.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no authority whatsoever, Derek. Most people do know that.
Was your
Zero
address on the tax
authority.
bill at all?
It was.
No, is it a taxing authority?
No. No. So I have zero authority.
Mark's all the way in the back.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mayor. How are you?
Very well.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. I was here, I think, about a year ago. I'm new in Florida, and as I mentioned at the first time when I came in, I didn't know anything about Florida, but I'm learning more and more. I have an issue that I brought up to see if there is a way that your office or your team, your people that work on it can help me, because I've been talking to the city for over a year for them to come and fix the drainage in front of my house that is destroying the properties, causing a hill. I was hoping I could even show a picture.
Well, let's do that after we have a 2-for-1 special right
You guys
here
live
on
near each other?
drainage. And this is actually, honestly, this is the time of year when we do run specials on drainage, because we're coming up not only are we in the rainy season, we're at the end of the rainy season, we're also at the historical height of hurricane season every year. What does that mean? That means this is a time when we're getting to maximum sogginess. And for a lot of people who have never lived in this part of Florida before, you might not have realized what the impacts of being flat, of having soils with a lot of clay in them that don't percolate very well. And we used to live in an area that was a swamp or a pine flatwood that held water this time of year naturally. So that's a lot of change for a lot of people. Believe it or not, back in Mayor Christensen's days, they used to get more drainage complaints than we do now. So happy to work with you on that. We'll stay afterwards. I'll get your addresses and your photographs, and we'll see what we can do. But this is the time of year, once the soil has reached maximum saturation, it doesn't percolate, and if it's too flat, we can't get it to move. So what does that mean? That means standing water until the sun comes out and evaporates the water. That's a difficult thing. A lot of people don't understand it here, but be happy to look at both of these complaints that came up and any other stormwater complaints, and you can always call 772-871-5159. That'll get you into the city council office. We have 2 great assistants, and the city now has a new information system, a 311 system that's pretty slick, and it's something we pushed for a long time, and it's probably too technical for everybody, but to hold their interest. You know how I like to get in the weeds on these kinds of things. It's really awesome because so much of our job is just working with customers, constituents on constituent concerns like this, and allows us to track them, to know if they're open or closed, what the issue is, allows us to improve over time. So it's an amazing tool. We just started it. It's really going to raise our game. Very excited. So, but call that number. That's one way to make sure that your complaint gets in the system and starts getting worked on ASAP. But we will get those addresses and talk about it after this show's
Drainage
over.
has historically been an issue here in Port St. Lucie, and I think that there was certain places every year you knew at one time or another they were going to be impassable, and we're really working, but we haven't solved them all clearly. But we're getting there. We'll definitely get there. So get with the mayor.
Yeah, I appreciated that, and I waited until the end, but I just want to point it out that from my understanding, the last conversation that I had with the clerk, that in my property specifically, they never build a swell. So I'm really stuck.
So each of these cases is fact specific. It's hard to solve it right here on a TV show, but we will get the information and we'll get back to you.
It's another traffic issue, but I live in a development called the Vineyards in St. Lucie West, and we have a back gate that's shared between us and another community called Heatherwood. There are about 600 homes total, but it comes out right where we have the grade school and Centennial High School, Machensky Park, and now the new dog park. But during certain times of the day, Cashmere is becoming almost impossible to go up and down because you got parents parking for children, you got all the buses. The grade school at least has traffic guards during their period of morning and afternoon, but the high school doesn't. So you have a lot of congestion there. So my issue is why are the buses coming out onto California or Cashmere versus Cameo, which is also a part of that school complex where you come out to a light? So I was wanting to see, would it be safer to have all the traffic come out to the light on Cameo on that far end of that complex versus onto Cashmere, where you have no light, there's no lights, you've got a lot of children crossing, you've got people parking all along there for their children, and it becomes a situation on our back gate where we can't make a left-hand turn during that time of the day. It's becoming almost impossible. And with Crosstown opening, I think there's going to even be more volume coming on to Cashmere. So it's something that I would like to see how we could address. I don't know if it's a combination with the school district, looking at can they utilize the traffic flow there better to the traffic light on Cameo versus having buses which are having a hard time swinging out onto Cashmere, which is 2 lanes, and Cameo is 4 lanes. So that was my issue, is there a way of addressing that to alleviate some of the congestion on Cashmere?
Well, appreciate you sharing the concern. That's what I would call a heavy lift. So that's not within the city's purview just to make that happen, for us to study it and change it, because you're dealing with a school board, which is an independent, separately elected body that already has established rights to access the road. So to succeed there, we would have to get their commitment. And when I say we, really this should come from the Vineyards HOA and the other groups and user groups along Cashmere, with the support of the city, to say, hey, first you're just going to have to ask them to study it, to see if they look at it the same way you do. And then after that, what could be done? Is it cost feasible? And if so, what kind of timeline could we get them to change it? So that's what we're looking at. I can tell you that sometimes it's easy because this is a typical conflict point with the school, okay? But sometimes, quite frankly, it's a horror show. Bedford Park in tradition with Palm Point has been a problem for years. And with the people in the city who are advocating on behalf of the people not being able to move the school district. And in that case, it's because Palm Point is a special charter lab school. And so the school board kind of says, hey, it's not us, it's FAU. So it's very fact specific, and I kind of outlined how we could go about it. But you're going to have to get organized, and you're going to have to probably get a sympathetic ear from a school board member. Mm-hmm. And if you don't get that, then you're going to have to apply political pressure to get a sympathetic ear.
But two things I would recommend from the beginning is maybe doing public comment at a school board meeting, because they do have public comment just like they do here at the city, as well as maybe we have a phone number for somebody in facilities that might be able to help you because he does this traffic studies.
And I would try calling a school board member or two, mm-hmm. or the chair before you even go to public to be heard. That's personally what I would do.
Yeah.
I talked to a city engineer. They said it's about $500,000 for a traffic light. And if our community wanted to pay for that, like the two developments, and there's no way we're going to spend $500,000 for a traffic light there. But they said it could be addressed. Kashmir is planning to be coming widened at some point in time.
Not Kashmir, California.
Well, no, Kashmir in longer term, I thought it was going to be widened to 4 lanes, like in a 10-year plan.
No, it's California that's going to be widened as part of the half-cent sales tax, but between Crosstown and St. Lucie West Boulevard, that segment.
That's our front gate.
Yes.
Yeah, your front gate is. But I think there are plans for the intersection at St. Lucie West Boulevard and
correct. That's already under
Kashmir,
design. That's
yeah.
to create an additional left turn lane to be able to go westbound St. Lucie West Boulevard.
To try to get that traffic through that intersection quicker. But yes, the other one is California is going to be the major throughway, north and south out there.
Well, that's crazy because you got people.
Ma'am, yeah, thank you.
We had one more question. No? Yes?
I was just adding to the.
Wait a second here. There you go.
The Kashmir situation in Crosstown. I take my daughters to school every morning at Centennial, and the one thing I actually reached out to the superintendent of the schools yesterday. I actually have a message that came in, so I'm hoping that that's going to be in reference to that when I leave here. But I did address the fact that the school itself, St. Lucie West Centennial, is not utilizing their parent drop-off. Every morning we have an issue. There's road rage. There's people are going to get in a fight or an accident. It's getting really bad. And Crosstown gets backed up that people going north and south can't even get to 95 or to where they're going. So my suggestion was to utilize St. Lucie West Centennial's drop-off because they're not utilizing it. They're actually letting people come up to the front of the school, drop the kids. There's about 30, 54 more feet that they can use to drop those kids off, and it would make that traffic go a lot smoother and probably not have a lot of these issues, but he did bring up a very valid point. So I'm hoping that there is some resolve that's going to be coming from that.
A lot of times the parents won't go into the drop-off because they don't want to get stuck in the drop-off line. So they make their kids walk out to the front, out to the street.
Well, they make them walk from Crosstown, quite frankly.
They line them up on the side of the road out there, and I'm not even sure you're really supposed to be parking along the side of the road. So maybe that is something we can encourage our city police. I don't know if you're allowed to or not in a non-emergency situation, but yeah, they all park alongside the road and make their kids walk out because they don't want to get stuck in the drop-off line.
Well, we're really getting into the weeds on this one.
We are.
We don't have the ability to solve it here, but we're all talking about it, and some people will think this is really important, and other people will be checking their phones right now. That does happen. But I can tell you that there's a little game that sometimes happens where different parties try to make other parties the bad guy. And so you get the situation where principals and the school administration might know it's a problem, but they're not going to fix it, which puts the city in the difficult position then of giving 200 tickets out
for stopping in it, yeah.
Right, and so it takes everyone working together to fix these things.
To make it a policy, yeah, okay. Probably one more question. Do you want to let, well, Henry already asked a question, so if anybody else does, speak now. Okay, Henry.
This will be the last question. Last question on TV.
Well, I have one of those too, okay? And you guys made me jealous, because mine's much higher than that, okay?
Well, that just means you have a much nicer house.
I was just going to say, my house is real tiny, Henry.
Yeah, well, like, this is, by the way, it's a newsletter time, so I'm looking for material.
Ah.
Yes, I am, okay?
Okay.
And I was thinking that probably the communication department
Sarah just left, but.
has the previous voting, for who do we vote for, ballot. So I'd like to find out who the people that we voted for are on these boards and maybe publish that so you have a name attached to it if you want to complain or if you want to vote for somebody else. Maybe next time.
So if it's a county problem you have, here's the board members that you should
Here's the
talk
board
to.
members, because the number is nice, but the name is better, I think, okay?
The only one I don't know is Florida Inland.
Well, I'll figure that out.
Yeah, that one's the only one I don't know. So, but I'm sure Sarah can probably.
The
do
other
that.
thing is, I see you, since I've been gone for 2 months, I see you guys are working on my bridge, which I'm very appreciative. You came.
And he's not talking about the crosstown, he's talking about the C-24 bridge.
And is there a plan for that shows it when it's completed? Like, that I could get a...
Who's the C-24? Is that you?
We don't own the C-24. I mean, you actually, yes, the bridge is ours.
That's
Thank
what I
you.
meant.
That's a
Sorry.
much easier.
I didn't clarify it.
The
bridge.
plan of the what do we do on that?
Yeah, so that's him.
So the configuration isn't changing much other than you're getting a sidewalk so that the sidewalks will now connect. Because on that South Bend Bridge before, that wasn't really a sidewalk. That was like a 2.5-foot sidewalk ledge that if you try to use it as a sidewalk, you might timber into the drive lane. So now you'll have a real sidewalk that connects. And as you know, there's now a sidewalk on Oak Ridge, what Floresta becomes, goes into Boat Ramp Park there, right at the corner. Now it'll go over the bridge and connect to that great South Bend sidewalk that takes you all the way to Jessica Clinton Park. So you have a great sidewalk system there. So Google is your friend. I just Googled Florida Inland Navigation District, and you can find out all that you want. Here's Board of Commissioners and staff.
Okay, I got it.
Bingo, bango. Now, as it happens, Sarah Prohaska was just sitting there and she left. We are going to be storyboarding a story, naturally, probably a TV segment that talks about the trim notice. And it's my goal to flash the pearly whites of every legislative body so that you can put a name and a face with the entity that taxes you in the hope that you won't blame us for everything. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here.
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's nice to have you back. It's always good to have you back. And thank you to the audience. We had a great audience today.
We did. We had a lot of action.
And don't forget that Meryl will stick around and answer some of those questions for you that are one-on-one, very specific questions about your particular property or area. I'm sure he'd be happy to help you with that.
Thank
All
you.
right, and thank you to At Your Service. Remember, the coffee cake is here. I can't guarantee there's any left, but please, they're a great caterer, and that coffee cake is homemade. It's her grandmother's recipe. It's delicious. Thank you to the City of Port St. Lucie and your communications department. We appreciate it. Till next time, everybody, have a great day.